It always fascinates me stories of bands that can go from this to this. But before the Coachella sets and the late night TV appearances, Turnstile were just five kids from Baltimore with a dream and a very long road ahead. In this video, I'll try my best to explore how Turnstile became one of the most, if not the most important group in the hardcore scene nowadays, and how they blended hardcore, funk, punk, and pop sensibilities into a singular force that exploded far beyond the places that they dream of. Are they a sellout band? Are they a true hardcore act? Are they still even a hardcore band on its essence? Let's find out. Welcome to the series The Genius Of, and in today's episode, we're gonna talk about Turnstile. Turnstile was formed in 2010 in Baltimore, Maryland, a city with not many famous names in the hardcore scene. Most of the members had already been active in the punk and hardcore scene through other bands, most notably in the band Trapped Under Ice, formed in 2007. Actually, throughout the history, not many famous or even good bands, to be honest, are from the state of Maryland. Fewer names that I can think of are the glam metal act Kicks, stoner rock band Clutch, the extreme metal band Full of Hell, and the death metal band Dying Fetus. But none of them are originally from Baltimore, which makes Trapped Under Ice considered the most exponential band in the city before Turnstile took the crown. And for the younger bands, they're both vital names that made the fresh blood like Jive Bomb, Ended, and Angel Dust, with also members from Turnstile could rise from the city. Let's start from the beginning and let me introduce you the initial Turnstile formation that ran into 2016. Brendan was originally the drummer of Trapped Under Ice. His transition to frontman for Turnstile was a very interesting one, since he never had any formal vocal background. And he took the mic with a fairly unpolished but bringing a lot of raw and melodic energy, and also influencing the band beyond the stage. He also directs most of the band's music videos, oversees visual direction, and brings cinematic flair to the art. And we're gonna see more on that later.
I always feel like I was like thrusted into being like a singer because I played drums mostly like before playing in this band, and just started this band, like didn't really play shows for the first couple of years, but kind of just made music. And then eventually we started touring more, and the more and more we played shows, I was like, oh shoot, I guess I'm a singer in a band, you know? It was kind of like accidentally happened. And I think I'm always still get really nervous playing shows, but especially in the beginning, it was like really kind of, it's a different thing than being like playing drums. It's both fulfilling in different ways, but I think when you're up there and it's kind of your voice and you're in the like front with a microphone, it's just way more intimidating. And I think, like you were saying, like I think early shows, I tended to kind of just do exactly what you're saying, which is like say one word and just throw the mic down and jump into the crowd, just move so much. And I think a lot of times it was like out of excitement and the energy in the room, but also just like nervousness too, just to be kind of, you know, holding a mic and people like looking at and hearing like my voice as opposed to just playing an instrument. And it's all like very powerful in different ways. But for me, like singing, I was like, oh, this is really scary now. So I I remember people always used to be like, well, you didn't act, you said like two words in the whole set. And it was really just because of, you know, just like the nerves and the adrenaline from just that kind of I don't know, it was a little vulnerable, just felt a little extreme.
Daniel was also a member from Angel Dust, and arguably the most technical musician of the group. He grew up studying jazz and punk simultaneously, and he also has a degree in music from UMBC.
Yeah. So when you started playing drums, that's when you started playing in high school or middle school?
Yeah, like the second year of middle school. And then I was like just messing around with the drum set that my mom got me. And then in high school, I think was when it really began because I joined the high school band and had to do like a whole like audition for it. Because usually people are just like go from like elementary school band to middle school band to high school band. I found out that it's pretty rare for someone to just like audition and learn how to read music and all the requisite skills right before where I was like going to class in high school and doing like the concert band, like the more formal side of things, and then going home and playing like Misfits covers on the drum set in my mom's basement. Thank you, Mom, for putting up with that for so long. Yeah, it was nice to have that like duality.
Franz Lyons is often recognized as the soul of the band. The bass player has a thick and funk-inspired lines and warm vocals that are essential to the Turnstile sound. He grew up in a multicultural home, observing reggae, R&B, and obviously hardcore. Also, all of the members of the band sound really genuine and nice. But Franz has another level of charisma and just figure as a whole.
I'm glad it makes people feel as good as we feel when we're playing it.
Oh, dog.
Love that.
I could jump out of my skin every time we plug our guitars in, dog. It's so fun.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it is.
And part of the initial lineup, both guitarists Sean Cullen and Brady Ebert. Pressure to Succeed from 2011 is the first EP by the label Reaper. It is a bold introduction with only 10 minutes of raw, punk-infused beatdown hardcore. The EP can be a little rough around the edges, but it has hints of the rhythm style that would become the signature sound. The EP from 2013, Step to Rhythm, also through Reaper. It's a groovier and tighter approach with tracks like Keep It Moving and Can It Heat that show the band locking more as a unit, but you can feel there's a sense of identity emerging.
Never be anyone that waits for enough. I've had enough. Now I'm gonna tear you apart. Arr!
2 years later, in January 13, Turnstile released the first debut full-length album called Non-Stop Feeling, also under Reaper Records. It was an album recorded at the Salad Day Studios with producer Brian McTernan. He's a former singer of Battery, which is an American straight edge youth crew hardcore punk band from Washington DC, and he worked with various others hardcore bands. Non-Stop Feeling, it is an album with a total explosion of color, funky bass, clean guitar interludes, and surprisingly soulful breakdowns, feeling like a joyful introduction to a genre obsessed with rage and hate. Songs like Drop, Gravity, Blue Bayou are great introductions to the early transformation of the band. On September 16 of 2016, the band released their third EP titled Move Through Me, and they embarked on the Move Through Me US tour with support from Angel Dust, Big Bite, Crime Watch, Fury, and this tour led them to sign with Roadrunner Records. And on February of 2018, they released their second studio album titled Time and Space, which is the first release under a major label. The record was the first produced by Will Ip that worked with many other bands in the hardcore indie scene like Code Orange, Turnover, Movements, Mannequin Pussy, Scowl, Circus Survive, Arctic Monkeys, and he's definitely responsible for some of these masterpieces released in the past 15 years. Just so many. All of this was his work. He will also work on the next two Turnstile albums. The additional of Will Whip, it's crucial to the expanding of the band. He's a producer known for a hands-on personal approach, investing heavily in the artist's creative process, working closely with them to shape their sound, and also bringing his signature sound to the process. Known for his vibrant drum sounds, large guitars, and focus on strong songwriting.
Hardest thing about mix for me is to interpret what the artist wants and what's going to sound great, and to kind of make it happen by putting it all together, is to get on the same page with the artist. Because at the end of the day, I think mixers and producers have to remember that at the end of the day, you're not the one that has to play those songs every night on tour. The artist does. So they do have such an important influence on the song, right? Obviously, and what they say is valid, but how do you interpret that into a mix? You have to understand the band, the artist's vision, and really dissect it, and really not do what they say, but do what they mean. What do they mean by that? If they want the song to sound a little brighter, what are they saying? Did he mean just high end, or did he mean like a mood? So interpreting that is I think just another level of the mix that you really have to dissect in order to accomplish what the artist truly wants.
Time and Space songs are short, punchy, and experimental. You can see innovations with the echoing interludes and remixes. And one of my favorite songs, I Don't Want to Be Blind, blends grunge era melody with hardcore punch. And that was the first time I heard about Turnstile. Whoa, if you're staying tuned now, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Send someone that likes or not Turnstile, but you think you're gonna like this video. And I appreciate everyone's support on that. Let's get back to it. I think we can all agree that Glow On was the first real masterpiece. At that point was Turnstile at their most experimental and refined. They fully lean into atmosphere, synths, melodic vocals, and rhythmic adventure. Tracks like Blackout, Alien Love Call, TLC, Holiday, Fly Again became just instant anthems. And on the visual note, remember that we talked about Brandon? He directed all promotional material and he used pastel colors, surreal choreography, and sort of like a retro VHS aesthetics to brand the new era. And with a mix of visuals and great music, Glow On was when Turnstile really started to call attention outside of the hardcore world and became this not just hardcore band, but almost like a rock band playing for bigger audiences and making noise to a wider range of people. Never Enough is the fourth studio album and released on June 6th of 2025 through Roadrunner Records, serving as a follow-up to Glow On, and is the first album without founding member Brady Herbert that departed the band in 2022. It's the first time that Turnstile featured guitarist Meg Millis, that made her name playing in UK hardcore bands, including Big Cheese and Chubby at the Gang, prior to joining the band.
How the fuck did you end up in the band? What happened?
I'll be in the gang. Also open for Turnstile on the UK shows that they did in 2022. And obviously, like, we'd made friends with them on the 2018 tour, kept in touch with everyone.
Got you. Okay.
There had been outbreaks as well where we'd seen them in just the way that you do, like social media, keep in touch with everyone. And about 6 months later, Chubby the Gang, as it was, kind of fell apart. We all left the band. There wasn't that outbreak of 2022. I remember Turnstile played. I remember chatting to Brendan, being like, "Man, I just want to be on tour. Like, Chubby and the Gang's like not on the table anymore for touring, and I'm at kind of a loose end." And we chatted, blah blah blah. And then probably about 5 months after that, I got a text from him one night. And it was like, "Hey, I've been, wanting to reach out and just like plant a seed here. Like, would you ever be interested in playing guitar for us? I know you said that you were down to tour." I was like what? But obviously I was like, yes, sign me up. And he was like, okay, so it's going to be probably like a 3-month tour with Blink-182 in the US. So there's a lot of touring. So like, think about it. I was like, okay, yes.
At this moment, Never Enough has become the band's highest charting album to date in several countries. Leaning heavily on experimentation and refinement of Glow On, the band was fully into embracing the atmosphere, synths, and melodic vocals with rhythmic adventure that are now a signature sound of the band. Tracks like I Care, Birds, and the title track are career-defining moments for the band as a whole. To promote the album, the band did one of the coolest things ever this year. They held a free benefit show at their hometown of Baltimore in May of 2025, where they previewed their Never Enough album while raising money for healthcare for the homeless. And the day after, some people that attended the show, or even the ones that couldn't go, they show up to the park and help clean the trash from the night before. That's DIY community right there. One major reason is perceived inauthenticity. Hardcore has a long history of valuing underground credibility and strict stylistic boundaries. The band, however, embraced melodic hooks, psychedelic textures, and even pop sensibilities, especially in the last 2 albums. Like I talk about in Glow On and Never Enough, to the more purists, this experimentation feels like a betrayal of the hardcore's raw minimalism And in their view, Turnstile's success, like playing big festivals and appearing on late night TV, proves that the band has sold out or watered down the scene to reach a wider audience. A second criticism is that Turnstile's popularity has become overexposed as the band gained massive attention. Some longtime fans felt alienated by the surge of new listeners who discovered them through mainstream channels rather than the DIY community. It's sort of like the "this is I like them before they are big" mentality, but it fuels resentment. Third, some detractors argue that Turnstile's music feels derivative, mixing influences from Bad Brains, Rage Against the Machine, 90s alternative rock in ways that, for some, lack a little bit of originality. Others think the positive lyrics and upbeat vibe clash with hardcore's confrontational roots, even calling them superficial or soft. So are these criticisms valid? Some degree, they reflect genuine tensions between staying true to a scene and evolving as an artist. But much of the backlash stems from gatekeeping and nostalgia rather than serious artistic issues. Like I mentioned, one part of the video is so common for that to happen in this scene, which is so stupid. Turnstile's willingness to innovate is exactly what many others find exciting, breathing new life into the genre that sometimes is honestly trapped by its own traditions. In the end, whether the hate is justified depends on your values. If you believe hardcore must remain singular and aggressive, you might reject Turnstile's approach. If you see music as a whole as an evolving form, the experimentations and accessibility are where they make them strong. Turnstile's influence has already reshaped the scene. They have inspired a new wave of gender-fluid punk bands and created space for softness, melody, and groove in a world often ruled by angst and aggression. They have played Coachella, appeared on Jimmy Fallon, and headlined tours across Europe, Australia, and South America. All of that while retaining the respect of the hardcore community. Perhaps most importantly, they did it as themselves. I know they changed members in the recent years, but the core of the band is 5 bands with diverse ideas, no fear, and a shared belief that music should move you in every sense of the word. And honestly, Turnstile is one of the fewer bands that I like them more now than I liked them before, when they are OG or true, whatever you want to call it. Like them more, it's a strong statement, but I dig them more now. At the 65th Grammy Awards held in February 2023, Holiday from Glow One was nominated for Best Rock Performance, and Blackout was nominated for both Best Rock Song and Best Metal Performance. They ended up not winning, but it was a huge mark for the band and the community. And like I mentioned at the start of the video, a big piece of Turnstile's new identity, or identity as a whole, are their aesthetics and how well their music and visuals complement each other. They amplify the message through a bold and innovative use of visuals in their music videos and overall aesthetics. From the beginning, and with a couple of changes, the band has embraced a dynamic visual identity that matches their energetic, gender-blending sound. But it was really with the Glow On album that the band truly shaped and embraced their new approach. With visuals that are sort of extension of the music's emotion, being dreamy, raw, joyful, and at the same time chaotic. Examples like Blackout and Mystery are filled with saturated colors, surreal edit, and unexpected images, merging punk energy with dreamlike situations. We all know that Turnstile's music is good, but this part right here is where the extra comes to the game. And nowadays you need so much more than just the music to stand out, and they do that such a clever and unique way that it makes sense where they are right now. Like I previously mentioned, they are all directed by the frontman Brandon Yates and longtime collaborator Ian HARDORE. The visuals are crafted with a DIY meets high art spirit, with people floating mid-air, shifting color palettes, or cinematic slow motion moments of crowd surfing. They're videos that bring a feel like living extension of their songs, alive with movement, spontaneity, and feeling. And even their live visuals, from stage lighting to backdrop design, embrace this immersive aesthetics. The artwork for Glow On and now Never Enough with its pastel colors and cloudy softness, contrasts the traditional aggression look of a hardcore cover album. Turnstile uses visual to expand their music, blurring the line between hardcore and art, and inviting fans to a full body experience where sight and sound collide. Thanks so much for watching this video. I appreciate everyone's time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment with someone. I did my best to just give a little bit of story and context on Turnstile's story and why I think they're one of the best and most important bands as right now, and not just the indie but in the rock genre as a whole. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.